The whispers come first. They slither beneath doors, coil in the rafters, curl against your ear, even when you are alone. A chalice left on the table, wine dark as a wound, and you stare at it as though it breathes. The silver rim gleams too. Brightly, the liquid quivers as if alive, and you wonder, is this nourishment or is it death dressed in sweetness? Your hand trembles and you push the cup away, but the thought remains. Every sip is a gamble, every swallow a pact with an unseen hand. You cannot taste without suspicion. You cannot drink without imagining your own throat swelling shut, your stomach burning from within, your veins clotting with invisible fire. Letters arrive on scented parchment, perfume clinging like the touch of a lover. The words are elegant, painted in devotion, but the ink seems to bleed into the page like poison. You raise it to your face and the fragrance assaults you, too sharp, too bitter. Is it roses? Or is it arsenic, subtle and sweet, meant to seduce your senses before unmaking them? Even love becomes a threat, every gesture another possible dagger. A hand brushing yours in public, a kiss pressed too lightly, a sigh shared in candlelight, all a suspect. Affection itself becomes a trap, a honeyed lure hiding teeth. The bed, once meant to cradle rest, is now a rehearsal for death. Each night you lie upon the silken sheets and they feel damp, clammy, as though the fabric remembers the sweat of those who perished before you. The pillows cradle your head too, gently, like a coffin lined for ceremony. The drapes sway with draughts, and every flicker of shadow resembles a figure leaning in to watch. They drag you not with ropes, but with words sharpened into chains. The trial does not begin in a chamber of law. It begins in whispers that slither through corridors, passed from tongue to tongue like poisoned wine. Each syllable stings. Each rumor multiplies until it wraps around your throat. By the time you stand before them, your guilt is already carved into stone. You are not a queen. You are prey displayed in a theatre built for cruelty. The court gathers, cloaked in velvet and jewels, their faces painted with civility, but their eyes gleaming with hunger. They are not here for justice. They are here for spectacle. You feel the burn of every gaze, 1,000 torches scorching your skin at once. They want you to squirm. They want your silence to break into sobs, your composure to crumble into dust. Their laughter rattles in the rafters, invisible knives slicing deeper than any blade. Paintings appear, grotesque in their precision, your likeness distorted, your body twisted into scenes of sin you never lived, your hands stained with crimes you never touched. The artists do not paint reality, they paint your execution in strokes of humiliation. These portraits are paraded through streets where the common crowd gathers to spit at them, to spit at you. You feel their hatred pierce across distance, each insult heavier than iron. They do not know you, yet they cheer for your ruin as if it were a festival. Pamphlets multiply like swarms of insects. Their ink bleeding lies onto every corner of the city. Words crucify you more brutally than nails ever could. They call you whore, witch, traitor, monster. Each page flutters in the wind, 1,000 little deaths spreading faster than fire. You cannot tear them down, cannot silence the ink. Even if you screamed, your voice would be drowned by the rustle of papers condemning you. The humiliation is meticulous. They strip not only your dignity but your identity, layer by layer, until nothing remains but the mask they've drawn for you. A scapegoat carved from silence and rumor. You feel yourself unravel in their accusations, not because you believe them, but because they do. The weight of their conviction is a stone crushing your chest. The more you deny, the deeper you sink. Every gesture becomes evidence. A glance is treachery, a smile is seduction, a silence is confession. You are devoured not by what you did, but by what they say you are. And the theatre swells in volume, the crowd leaning closer, eager for collapse. You feel dread swelling beneath humiliation, an ocean rising inside you with no shore in sight. You begin to wonder if you are what they claim. Repetition is a weapon. Enough lies, screamed loud enough, become indistinguishable from memory. You hear their accusations so often that you begin to dream them. You wake in the night and taste guilt on your tongue, though you have none. You touch your face and see the monster they painted. You weep, and your tears feel like proof. This is not a trial. It is a ritual. They are not seeking truth. They are erasing it. And you are the sacrifice, bound not in chains, but in shame. The court becomes a cathedral of cruelty, the audience chanting your ruin as if it were prayer. You feel the dread seep deeper, colder, until it becomes part of you. You look into the faces of those who once called you queen, and you see only hunger for your fall. The crown that once weighed upon your head has become invisible, replaced by thorns that dig into your flesh. And as their whispers crescendo into shouts, you understand? This humiliation is not the prelude to death. It is death itself, stretched into spectacle, prolonged until you break. The morning is colder than any you have known. The frost clings to the breath in your throat, and each exhale drifts like smoke from a fire already extinguished. The sky hangs low, grey and swollen, as though the heavens themselves wish to look away. Yet the crowd gathers eagerly, pressing shoulder to shoulder, their eyes fixed upon you as if you are not human, but offering. Your knees tremble with each step, wood creaking beneath your weight, every sound amplified, every vibration echoing the countdown to silence. The scaffold looms ahead, not a platform, but an altar. You mount it slowly, each board moaning underfoot, as though it remembers the others who bled here. The air is sharp, biting, filled with the stink of damp wool and sweat from the pressing crowd. They do not see your shiver as fear. They see it as weakness, proof that their hunger will be satisfied. You are no longer queen. You are no longer wife. You are prey dressed in ceremony. They pin your hair back with rough hands so the blade finds no resistance. Fingers tug and twist, stripping you of vanity, of dignity. Strands tear from your scalp, and the sting is nothing compared to the humiliation. Your neck is exposed, now bare as a wound. The executioner waits in silence, faceless beneath his hood, his stillness heavier than the weight of the axe he grips. The world narrows to his shadow, and the cruel anticipation humming in the crowd's throat. You whisper prayers, each word fragile, trembling, as though you might trick eternity into listening. But the voices drown you out. The roar of the masses rises, laughter mixed with curses, each shout hammering against your skull until your words dissolve into air. God, if he hears, remains silent. The prayers vanish before they leave your lips, devoured by the spectacle. The wood beneath your knees is rough, splinters digging into flesh as you kneel. The cold bites deeper. and the metallic tang of fear pools in your mouth. Iron on your tongue, the phantom taste of blood not yet spilled. Your pulse thrashes against your throat, already anticipating the blade's descent. Every heartbeat is a drum pounding the measure of your final seconds. The executioner lifts his weapon and the air bends around its weight. Time fractures, the moment stretches, grotesque in its detail. You feel the eyes of thousands pierce into you, stripping you bare, consuming your collapse. They came not for justice but for theatre, and you are the final act. The silence before the fall is heavier than sound itself, suffocating, pressing into your chest until you cannot breathe. You realize then that the crown was never yours, that the body was never yours, that even this death is not yours. It belongs to them, to history, to the insatiable hunger of a crowd that thrives on your undoing. Your identity dissolves in the moment before the strike. You are no longer a woman. You are no longer a queen. You are a story, a warning, a spectacle. And when the blade falls, it is not only flesh it severs, it cuts the last thread of intimacy, the final illusion of control. Collapse is complete. Silence spreads like a shroud, heavier than the roar that once demanded blood. The nightmare has cooled, but its ashes cling to your skin. You walk through corridors where the air still trembles with echoes. Faint screams trapped inside stone, soft weeping that no wind can erase. The walls remember, even if the world does not. Their names, once spoken with trembling reverence, have been scoured away. Ink-stained pamphlets that damned them are preserved in libraries, yet their diaries, fragile confessions of pain, were fed to fire. Their faces, once painted in oil and gold leaf, have been scraped, repainted, rewritten. Their eyes turned away, their hands erased, their lives trimmed to fit the comfort of a victor's story. You linger in these ruins, and it feels as though the silence accuses you. Each absent name is a wound, each burned letter a tomb. Forgetting, you realize, is the final cruelty. Steel cut their bodies, but history carved their ghosts. What remains is not truth, but a skeleton assembled from lies and half-remembrances, dressed in velvet to appear whole. The crown that once gleamed on their heads now hangs invisible, rusting in the collective amnesia of generations. You try to breathe, but even the air feels altered, filtered through centuries of revision. What was humiliation becomes morality plays. What was torture becomes rumor. What was survival becomes shame. And you walk upon these graves without knowing, repeating stories sharpened by those who wish them silent. Each laugh at their scandals, each careless repetition of a rumor, each blind acceptance of history's polished version makes you complicit. Memory is a weapon, and forgetting is a blade you carry without seeing. The stones beneath your feet whisper that erasure is not peace. It is a second execution. To reduce a woman to a footnote is to kill her again, to strip flesh from her bones until she is nothing but a faint citation. The forbidden truth is not simply what was done to them, the cages, the blood, the betrayals, but the fact that their absence has been carefully staged, a theatre of forgetting designed for your comfort. And now you stand in that silence, the nightmare fading not into peace, but into responsibility. History, you realize, is not truth. It is a butchered memory stitched crudely by victors, patched with omissions, perfumed with lies. To remember is to wound yourself with their agony. To forget is to wound them again. Either way, the blade is still in motion and you are holding it.